Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. It seems that we're having summer now that it's fall. Last few days have been pushing 80 degrees and we've had a heck of a stretch of weather for the last week and a half. It looks like it's going to last until the weekend, and then who knows. And then the following week, slightly cooler, which is what I'm all about. I have some outside projects I'd like to do, and the highs next week look to be high 50s and 60s. So, can you believe it? My bench is as clean as it's been since about 2018 when I bolted this engine crane on the bench. I used to keep it completely clean. All my attachments go in the side, so anything that's attached to the bench hangs off, and the whole surface of the bench was empty. And it was easy to maintain. And then I blame it on this. I bolted this on, and it's so easy just to set things near or around it. And next thing you know, this whole end of the bench is clogged up with extra nuts and bolts and gaskets or whatever's left over from the last project. It doesn't get put away properly. You can just barely see in your picture there is clamped onto the bench a Pexto bead roller. It's more for HVAC work, but I brought it home from a bunch of other stuff I brought, and I clamped it to the bench, and I've played with it a few times, but it kind of lives there. It doesn't have to. And this unbolts with 4 bolts, so should I ever have the need to use the entire bench, I could, but this has saved my back a ton. With it extended out, you can swing a transmission from the floor into this holder, or you can go up onto the bench, again, all the way to the floor. I got it all engineered, so it only takes a second to swing it out and use it. And I've also used it for other welding projects. The bead rollers I built to hang them up while I was working on them or putting them together. So, what you can't see, but I've actually cleaned another couple benches. The top of my bandsaw is empty, so lately, when I had a minute, or like in the evening when I'd like to sit down and take a break, I come out and clean for an hour, and once you get going, it's hard to stop. So it usually turns into an hour and a half or more of time that I wouldn't call it a waste when you're relaxing, but you know what I mean. Instead, I was getting stuff done, and now I can enjoy the fruits of my labor. In today's video, and during the process of cleaning this bench, I found my Sonnax rear servo pin, my adjustable rear servo pin for a TH400, so now I can now finish my my spare, if you will, TH400 for the Race 55 Chevy. So I'm going to wheel that over here, recheck the distance. I'd have to rewatch the video to remember what I had found with my new tool as far as depth goes. And we'll remeasure and then pull the pin out of the bag and see what it's all about. They claim it's adjustable and you can run it. It's not just a tool. So let's find out. I dug out all the parts. The Sonnax adjustable rear servo pin kit is a 349 12-01K, in case you want to blow it up. It's kind of a neat rig. It comes with a button head fine thread screw that's going to go up through the bottom of the piston. So it's an upgrade because you're no longer dealing with a little E-clip that holds this whole mess together normally on the stock pin. So it's going to thread up inside. So you're going to put it up through the piston. You put the flat washer on first. It comes with 4 additional washes to make the pin longer. But in this case, I've already done a little math, and I'll explain how I did it after we assemble this. You just spin it together. You're compressing the spring, but you got to make sure you go all the way down, obviously. like that. So now that's assembled, but how did we come up with the correct length? Well, using my Kentmore J21370-A servo pin height gauge. We did this in the other video. I bolted on. I put the three-sided gauge pin in, A, B, and C. Put it in the pin bore. Push this down. There's a spot for a 9/16 wrench. You apply and you measure whichever groove lines up with the flat part of the blue tool here. And in my case, it took C on the highest step. So I need the longest pin offered for a Turbo 400. Then you go to your book or the instructions that came with the Kentmore tool. The ATSG manual and this are identical. I'm on the highest step of C, means I need number 7, which has the two biggest grooves. And apparently this falls short of telling you the actual length. So I'll reference the ATSG manual. And the pin length on the longest pin ever offered for the rear servo is 3.468 to 3.474. How you measure that is from here to here. So I took the new pin plus the thickness of the gold large washer that comes with it, and I'm like 3.490. So I'm actually slightly longer than the longest pin available, and that's actually going to work out good. I don't need any of the additional washers. These are 32 thousandths a piece. So this thing could get really long. You could obviously grind the end off if you wanted to. So that's easy. And I will, in a second, check it with my tool that I made as well. But I want to mention Sonnax gives you an O-ring groove and one O-ring to install on the pin and one for a spare. And they tell you to chamfer the pin bore in the case so you don't tear the O-ring. Installing it, the O-ring would ride in the bore of the case. I was curious why I wanted to seal that. So I called Sonnax. They pick right up. Option 3, the technical guy. He knows exactly all the products probably because he didn't even hesitate. And he said that they added an O-ring because some of the pin bores are worn and it just kind of helps keep the pin straight. It's not required. I didn't want to run it. I don't want any extra stuff in there. And I'm not worried about oil buildup because the accumulator's gone anyway, so I don't think that would be a problem, even though I do have, with the ATD valve body instructions, I've driven a check ball into the bore in the bottom of the case, the accumulator feed. Let me get that correct. It calls it accumulator feed passage in the case. You drive a stock check ball in there, and that's to prevent blowing out the cut plug further up the line. So that's a precaution that ATD came up with, and you do it on their trans brake valve body installation. So this should now be correct. I could put the quad ring on it and assemble it and air check it, but why not put it in with my servo cover that I cut, and we'll measure the actual travel. Sonnax says it should be about 125, and that's pretty much what we figured in my other video, give or take. Again, you have almost 400 thousandths travel in the bore. We're just trying to remain on the upper third. So let's put it in and check the travel. I hope you can see, I'll check it before I publish the video, but I put on my modified servo cover, just cut a line across here because the measuring point for travel is right between these two bolt holes. I'm almost perfectly flush right here, maybe slightly above, could drag my fingernail on it. This bolt that I drilled and tapped the cover so I can push down and ply it. Now let's go ahead and ply it. That's tight right there. Let me measure. Excuse my back of my head. And we are at 152-ish. So, that is going to work. Hope you can still see my face. Let me check. Not that you really want to see my face. That may have not been some of the best video work I've ever done, but I'm going to let it go. Now I just need to Loctite the button head screw into the new pin. I don't want it to fall apart. That would kind of negate any gains we had by getting rid of the E-clip. Not that the E-clip is really problematic, but this is stronger. I like that I have now a brand new pin in my bore. I've chosen not to run the O-ring because I don't want any extra parts in there that I really don't need. My bore is nice and tight. It was never something on the original pin. I don't know. That's clearly optional, at least in my mind. But if you've run this with the O-ring and taken it back apart, did it live? Is it still in there when you go to pull it back out, or did it just disappear over time? So now I can install the quad ring, assemble it, air check it, of course. I always do that. I like to hear it go ka-chunk, ka-chunk. And install my ATD first and second gear lead valve body, the pan, the shield, etc. And this transmission will be done. Before I say goodbye, I got to get this off my chest. I've received some gifts and I haven't given proper information. Shout outs, if you will. A guy named Ron out of Minnesota watched a video from 3 years ago where I had come across a Fairbanks aluminum reverse manual valve body, and he sent me the actual instructions for it. He called or he texted me first or emailed me, however he contacted me, email I believe, and offered to send them to me. And that is awesome because now I actually have them. I collect stuff like that. And fortunately I have installed it correctly 3 years ago because I remembered basically how it had to be. And it's in a vehicle functioning at the moment. So, secondly, this is a month or two behind. Cumberland Fleet Service out of Crossville, Tennessee. This guy sent me a bunch of seals and miscellaneous leftover parts that he had. It just blows me away, and it's awesome. And I've used about half of the ones he sent me, the rear seals for a Turbo 400. I'm going to use a lot of those. So, and they were good quality ones too. That's it for today. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll catch you in a few.